I had this incredible encounter with Jesus, and it brought me to this place that I will call the love of God. But after this encounter, it felt like it was difficult to reach God, according to what I previously defined as my contact with Him. Sometimes I get so bored that during my prayer and worship session, I get to read my Bible or Christian books just to kill time. So today the same thing happened, and it was now a concern for me, until I heard Him say that Christ may dwell in your heart by faith, being rooted and grounded in love. This is from Ephesians 3 verse 17. Then I realized that number one, His presence is not a feeling. It is by faith, a knowing. Sometimes you tear up, sometimes you have goosebumps when He shows up. But other times He shows up in as much glory and yet you feel nothing. And then number two, that He dwells in your heart. You don't need to walk into a place expecting the presence of God to come in. The fact that you stepped in means that He showed up. It is faith, not feeling. You do not need to see it to believe it. Faith is you believe it even when you do not see it to see it. Hebrew 11 verse 1. A friend of mine asked for my opinion on having an altar in your home where you meet with God. I told him that it was fine to set up a place for worship. Same way, it's also fine to set up a time also. But what usually happens with this altar thing is that most times we begin to reference the altar, the location, more than the God. In a place or a situation where there's an instant need to pray and to connect with Him, you unconsciously tell yourself to wait till you get to your altar. The same way that people that have library just have this feeling that they assimilate more when they read in their library. You now unconsciously believe that that location is where God is. No, that place is holy only because of you. It is the God that you carry there that made it holy. Similarly, what we call the church today is not the church. The church is just a mere edifice without you, the people. Jesus destroyed the temple in His death and raised another temple, which is man. And on the day of Pentecost, He inhabited that church called man as it was in the days of Adam, in the beginning. So instead of running to lie down on an altar to connect with your Father, Jesus said, go into your closet, shut the door, and voila, He's there. He doesn't need an altar or a conjuring to come. He's not there because it's a church building or the platform that they call an altar. He's there because you're alone and you have shut the door to all the noise. What we call the church today can be best described as a solemn assembly, an ecclesia of churches. John 4 will find the Samaritan woman inquiring from Jesus for the right location of worship. And He told her that the time has come when we do not need to go to any location for worship. That the worship the Lord yearns for is that which is done in spirit and in truth. In spirit, as described by Jesus to Nicodemus in the previous chapter, is like the wind. It cannot be captured and it cannot be bound to a location. You neither know its origin or its destination. You can only hear a sound. Meaning, you are more in tune with the spirit when you are spontaneous in worship. In truth, the truth is you are the temple. You are the location. So what did we learn today? Number one, God is not a feeling, but a knowing. His presence is by faith, based on a knowing that He loves me, and not a feeling. I don't have to feel it to know it. God will not limit Himself or tie His encounter with you to goosebumps and emotion. He's as much present with you in the days you do not feel it as He is in the days where you can swear that He's around. It is not an emotion, it is by faith. And then number two, you are the church. You are that location. That an altar is only an altar because the altar, which is you, is present. And that what you call the church is more of a solemn assembly, an ecclesia of churches, than it is the gate of heaven. God bless you.